just like seeing her for the first time.
And then, at last, the one-on-one combat exam arrived. The sun hung high above the academy, and the entire student body seemed to gather restlessly at the mana barrier square, the grand arena where the examination was always held. This place was legendary. Whenever a test took place here, the entire space would be packed with students, teachers, and even guests eager to witness the battles. Today, the atmosphere was particularly tense, for this was no ordinary match. This was the long-awaited clash between Luin and Mike. The two opponents stepped forward, their steps echoing against the magically reinforced stone floor. The barrier shimmered faintly, enclosing them, ensuring no power leaked out to harm the audience. A hush fell over the crowd as both stood face to face, preparing to fight. On Luin's shoulder, Da Trang whispered into his ear, "Be careful. Your opponent specializes in close combat. If he prepares in advance, this will not be easy. You'll be at a disadvantage if you let him close in." Luin smirked with unshakable confidence. "And what if I can approach him instead?" Paige was unsurprised. "If you do, then it only takes a single punch. That will be enough to put him down." The field itself had been arranged to resemble real combat terrain: jagged rocks, uneven ground, small barriers, and even tree-like constructs scattered around. The professors wanted the battle to be as realistic as possible, not just an exchange of spells in a flat arena. "Are you ready?" the supervising teacher shouted. His voice carried over the silence. Luin shifted his stance, but his sharp eyes caught something unusual. Mike stood opposite him, but his demeanor was off. Normally, Mike was arrogant, sneering, overflowing with pride. But today, he was different. His movements were stiff, his expression darker, his body trembling faintly with an energy that seemed unstable. Luin immediately activated his authentic labels, scanning the system's interface for Mick's current status. His heart skipped a beat when the results appeared. A red warning flashed, showing a particularly violent state he had never seen before. It was bizarre, abnormal, something not meant to occur naturally. This status, Luin thought quickly. His mind pieced together the fragments of suspicion. Could it be? Did Mike use something illegal to enhance himself? Immediately, Luin's instincts screamed the truth. Professor Irrit must have given him a forbidden herb and covered it up. The referee then loudly explained the rules to everyone present. "Remember, the use of dark magic is strictly forbidden. Other than that, all 4 elemental magics are allowed. Points will be awarded based on mastery and level of spells. Also, within this barrier, the power of magic is reduced to 70%. Therefore, there is no risk of excessive damage." Luin raised his hand suddenly. "What happens if someone is found using a banned substance?" he asked. The professor in charge responded firmly. "If a student is discovered, they will immediately be stripped of their right to compete, fail this exam, and may even be expelled from the academy." His eyes narrowed. "But why do you ask?" Mike stiffened when he heard that question. For a moment, guilt flickered across his face. He avoided Luin's gaze. Luin's suspicion deepened, but he chose silence. He could not expose Mike without solid evidence. Only he could see the status window, but to others, it was invisible. He would have to prove it in battle. The crowd grew restless, murmurs spreading like wildfire. The tension was unbearable. The teacher raised his arm high, then shouted, "Begin." Instantly, Luin dashed forward with explosive speed. His body blurred as he leaped high, preparing to strike. Mike reacted quickly, slamming his staff into the ground. Roots of magic burst forth, forming tree trunks that tried to ensnare Luin's feet. But Luin's raw strength ripped through them easily. He landed smoothly, escaping the trap with brute force. Gasps erupted from the audience. The battle had only just begun, yet it was already overwhelming. In this hall, the power of magic was reduced by 30%. That should have been a disadvantage for anyone reliant on spells. but not for Luin. His physical power, unaffected by the barrier, gave him the upper hand. Mike, his eyes wild, raised both hands and shouted incantations. Dark red magic gathered in the air, forming a gigantic, skull-shaped construct. Flames erupted violently as he unleashed an enormous fire spell, the air itself trembling under the destructive force. Luin's body moved instantly, dashing away and taking cover behind a massive rock formation. He could feel the intense heat licking at his skin, even from there. His suspicions were confirmed. So this is the effect of that elixir, Luin thought. It reduces casting time while boosting mana output. Mike's voice thundered through the arena. Don't hide, Luin. Come out and face me like a man. The more I fight, the more excited I become. His laughter was manic, his voice unhinged. Luin's eyes narrowed. Yes, this is it, the awakening flower. The way he feels. No pain, the way he loses control. Unable to distinguish friend from foe. He's consumed it, there's no doubt. His fists clenched, he stepped out from cover, facing Mike directly. His voice was calm but cutting. The only reason you're so confident is because of that thing. Isn't that right? Mike's expression twisted. His eyes widened in shock. How did Luin know? He froze, disbelief clear in his gaze. But Luin didn't shout to the referees. He didn't expose Mike to the crowd. Instead, his voice grew firm, his resolve like steel. I don't need to report you. I'll defeat you myself, no matter what kind of flowers you burn. Power surged through Luin. His entire body glowed faintly as he activated time refraction, his speed accelerating beyond the eye's ability to follow. He blurred forward, a streak of light rushing toward Mike. Mike panicked. He swung his staff, casting desperately, summoning a towering ice wall in front of him. But Luin's momentum was unstoppable. His leg glowed with raw force, and with a single strike, he shattered the wall cleanly in half. The audience roared in shock. What kind of magic is that? They cried. None had seen such strength before. Desperate, Mikey conjured again. This time, a level 3 fire magic. A gigantic dinosaur-shaped flame beast roared into existence, charging straight at Luin. But Luin's eyes blazed with focus. He clenched his fists, gathered his strength into his arms, and slammed both hands against the ground. Seismic smash. The ground split violently, and a massive stone barrier erupted upward. The flaming beast crashed into it, the impact sending a thunderous shockwave across the stadium. The collision rattled the barrier, forcing Mike backward. His confidence faltered. Fear spread across his face for the first time. Luin emerged from the dust, his steps steady. He approached Mike slowly, a victorious smile curling his lips. Standing right in front of his opponent, Luin lifted his hand. His thumb and index finger pressed together. Mike's heart froze. No, don't. Luin flicked his forehead. Crack. The sound echoed like an explosion. The force of that single flick unleashed a shockwave so immense that Mike's body was hurled through the air. He flew backward violently, crashing against a jagged rock wall with a sickening thud. The ground quaked from the impact. The stadium fell into stunned silence. It had only been a snap of the fingers, yet the damage was monstrous. The crowd stared in disbelief, struggling to process what they had just witnessed. Everyone in the stadium was stunned into silence. The explosion had left a thick cloud of smoke and dust swirling all around the arena, making it difficult to see clearly. The spectators held their breath, their eyes straining to pierce through the haze. Luin's gaze, sharp and unwavering, remained fixed in one direction, waiting, anticipating. And then, through the dust, Miko's voice rang out. Hoarse, yet filled with fury. How dare you look down on me? He roared, his eyes glowing with the unstable light of madness. Before anyone could react, he charged forward with reckless speed, his fist crashing hard into Luin's face. The blow was followed by another, and then another wild, desperate strikes one after the other. Luin tried to defend, but the impact of Mike's punches carried an unnatural force. The last strike sent Luin flying backward, his head smashing against a jagged rock with a sickening crack. Gasps of horror echoed through the crowd. Blood trickled at the side of his head, his body trembling. Yet, miraculously, Lewin remained conscious. His will was iron, but his body clearly could not endure many more of these shockwaves. Clutching his chest, Lewin inhaled sharply. No, I can't keep going like this, he thought. His eyes hardened with resolve. Summoning his mana, he touched his shoulder, channeling energy into his chest. From within him, lotus tree stems sprouted violently, growing outward like living chains. They extended in every direction, wrapping themselves tightly around Emiko's body. Binding him, Lewin raised his voice, clear and unwavering despite his pain. Referee, Mike, has used a banned substance. The crowd erupted with shock and confusion. The referee's eyes widened, and he immediately demanded, "What do you mean? Why do you accuse him of using a banned substance? If what you say is false, Lewin, you will be disqualified and lose the right to compete." But Lewin stood his ground, his voice full of conviction. "What I said is the truth. There is no mistake." The referee's face darkened. "Explain yourself." Lewin's chest heaved as he steadied his breath. His eyes flickered toward Mike, who still smiled unnaturally despite being tightly restrained. It is possible that the use of banned substances has been deliberately hidden. Someone might have discovered it but chose to turn a blind eye. And tell me, who in this academy has the rare ingredients necessary for such forbidden drugs? Who is responsible for pre-match inspections? Only one person fits that description: Professor Irrit. The atmosphere in the arena shattered into chaos. All eyes turned toward the stands. Professor Irrit paled instantly, his composure crumbling. In desperation, he teleported down into the arena, appearing before Lewin with eyes blazing. "Do you even know what you're saying?" he shouted furiously, his voice trembling with both anger and fear. "You dare accuse me of ignoring the rules? You dare say that Mike used banned substances and that I turned a blind eye?" But Lewin did not flinch. His expression was cold, his voice steady. "Yes, I dare, because I have proof." The crowd gasped. Murmurs filled the air like the buzzing of bees. Lewin continued, pointing at Emiko's eerily composed figure. "I'll show you. Let's repeat the demonstration." He clenched his fist. "We all know that spirit pills can hide expressions, masking the pain and side effects, but you cannot hide physical truth." He stepped toward a massive tree within the arena. With a casual snap of his fingers, the tree exploded into hundreds of splinters, reduced to nothing in a blink. "This," Lewin explained, his voice echoing across the silent arena, "is the same force I used on Mike's forehead earlier. Even if his magic had improved through practice, no human body could withstand such attacks and still smile. Yet look at him, seriously injured, bleeding, but still smiling like nothing happened. That alone is proof enough." The stadium was dead quiet. All eyes turned toward Emiko, who indeed looked terrifying, his body broken, yet his grin grotesque, his laughter unhinged. Professor Irrit's face twisted. His mouth opened, but no words came out. He was utterly speechless. Above, in the VIP stand, the principal rose to his feet, his face red with fury. His voice thundered across the entire arena. "Professor Irrit, how dare you commit such a sin, here, in this sacred place? Do you understand what you have done?" The weight of his anger crashed over the stadium. The principal's glare was sharp enough to cut steel. "You will follow me to my office immediately." Professor Irrit trembled, his legs nearly giving way. His heart pounded wildly in his chest. This time he knew he had gone too far. Meanwhile, Emiko, still bound tightly by the lotus stems, continued to smile maniacally, like a man possessed, his laughter echoing unnaturally throughout the arena. The sight sent shivers down the spines of everyone watching. The fourth exam was declared concluded soon after. The outcome spread like wildfire among the students. Whispers and gossip filled the academy halls. Professor Irrit had been fired, stripped of his position in disgrace. Mike had been expelled, his family name tainted by scandal. Lewin, however, emerged with a new reputation. Students began calling him the Exist Saint. The title carried a fearful weight, for it was said that anyone who dared to touch him would face an unfortunate ending. Later, Luin found himself standing before a giant door, ancient and mysterious. He had been summoned by the principal himself. A radiant light appeared beneath his feet, enveloping his entire body. Before he could react, he was transported away, his surroundings dissolving into brilliance. When the light faded, Luin's eyes widened in shock. Before him stretched a domain unlike any he had seen, the domain of the Edo family. His heart raced as he took in the sight, and there, at the very center, stood a magnificent throne. Luan's knees nearly buckled. His body instinctively lowered, as if compelled to kneel. That throne, it was none other than the seat of the ultimate magician. The principal appeared beside him, his expression unreadable. "Tell me, student," he asked calmly, "what do you see before your eyes?" Luin, his voice trembling slightly, replied, "I see the throne of the Adu family. Why is it here?" The principal's gaze deepened, as though peering into Luin's soul. "That is because what you see is shaped by your heart. This vision is born of the eyes of Malik Marlosa, ancient leader who once started the war to conquer the continent. Legend says that Malik possessed the ability to show people the world they most desired. After his death, his body was refined into a treasure. His eyes became relics that reveal one's deepest wish." Luin's heart pounded. "So what I saw just now, it was because I desire it?" The principal nodded. "Yes, the sight before your eyes reflects the desire within your heart. You long to revive the Edo family's domain. You long to become the most powerful magician." He paused. His eyes softened with curiosity. "And do you wish to know what I saw?" Luin hesitated. "Yes." The principal's lips curled faintly. "I saw a world where everyone lives according to their responsibilities. Students remain students. Magicians remain magicians. Order is preserved, even though it is never easy." Both teacher and student stood before the great gate, its massive form groaning as it slowly opened. Light poured through the cracks. Luin turned his gaze back for a brief moment, remembering the day he stood victorious with his friends. The day he became valedictorian amidst their cheers. "That is what you must strive to achieve again," the principal said firmly. Moments later, Luin found himself back in the principal's office. The atmosphere was calm, the room filled with the soothing aroma of tea. The principal himself poured Luin a cup, his eyes watching the boy carefully. "I called you here," he said, his tone gentle but serious, "because I have something to ask you. Among countless banned substances, how did you know that what Mike used was the burning flower?"